Hi guys, welcome to the 2023 fall sales season here at Flatland Show Pigs. We're very excited to bring you a very high quality set of prospects, and we're starting off with our very first sale here August 1st on showpig.com. As in the past, we've always put a lot of emphasis on promoting our pigs and giving you an honest view and representation of what we have to offer. We have made the very conscious decision to show videos this year for our pigs because in the past we've had pictures and videos both. I'll tell you what, I have never been asked to get another picture of a pig, but I've always been asked about the videos. So as this year, we're going forth with making sure we have a very high quality video and commentary of each and every pig in the sale to give an accurate representation of what we have to offer. Guys, in this first set of pigs that we're going to offer August 1st, we have multiple boars that we're very excited about. One of them, it would be downplay at Knauf's, and then some at Beeman's. But there's several litters out of boars that we've invested heavily into ourselves. One of them would be aftermarket. This would be the tricked out, Dirty South, Little Bro Red Alert boar that we purchased over a year ago from our good friends at Charles Show Pigs. We actually have several litters out of him this spring that are out and about winning already this summer. In addition, though, we used him heavily over the summer crop. And this fall set of pigs that we're going to offer, you're going to like the aftermarket pigs. In addition to him is a boar called the Other One. This is a boar we purchased at Kings of the Hill from Troy Sloan, and we purchased him with Winter Livestock. He is a tricked out, never before, and actually a full sib to pass the hat that sold for $140,000 at PT. We were really excited to actually get him ahead of the curve before PT came around, and you're going to like those pigs. So I think it's important to remember that not only have we invested in a good set of sows and females to lay a foundation, we're really trying to put forth a set of elite sires that the entire nation's going to love. Thank you guys for tuning in to our preview for Flatland Show Pigs for this August 1st sale. Want to let you know relative to a vaccination protocol, these pigs have all been vaccinated with Serco, Myco, PERS, influenza, and erysipelas. We will have delivery options available to multiple parts of the country. Specifically, we'll be going to the opener on the weekend of August 5th down in Amarillo. If you guys have other places that they need to be delivered to, please contact us immediately after the sale or even before the sale, and we'll do our best to accommodate you. Guys, we're looking forward to a great 2023 selling season. Thank you for tuning in.
Here is lot number 1, 13-1. Pedigree would be and then some Kingpin. Really neat sandy barrow here to start off our sale. These and then somes have fed extremely well for us. We've had litters this spring and are feeding through the summer season, and we've been really excited about how they're coming together. Just like a lot of tricked out stuff, they have a very good look ahead of their blade. Stout jawline, really short backed, comfortable in their skeleton, square feet and toes, and out of this Kingpin sow that's a very flexible, comfortable female. Thought this sandy barrow is a nice way to start off the sale. I think these 13s, this one in particular, obviously he can roll this winter all the way to from Arizona National, Texas National, and then into Denver if you want to go that far. Very nice barrow to go ahead and start off our sale. Next up is 13-2, lot 2 in our sale. Again, the pedigree would be and then some Kingpin. Really nice traditional belted barrow right here, or male pig. Very stout, just like the and then somes, with a great look ahead of his blade. Love his forearm shape, big front toes working in this guy. Still skinny enough in his overall pattern. I think we can just feed on this one. Looks to be a hog that can go, I think, early and often relative to getting into those December shows and then obviously roll into January. Really nice and then some Kingpin barrow right here, 13-2. This is lot number 3, 13-4. And then some back on the Kingpin sow. Really nice chromed up barrel here. Great look ahead of his blade, level in his top line, good functional hind leg working in him with stout square toes coming and going. Again, I think a little bit bigger hog, longer bodied one that you can just start feeding on right away. But plenty of muscle in these and then some pigs. I think again, target weight, target show there at the end is going to be toward that December to early January timeframe for this mid-May barrel. Next up is lot number 4. This is the 13-5 barrel. He does have a retained testicle. Want to make sure that's very clear in the video, but a traditional belted and then some barrel that has a lot of quality to him. Big forearm shape in that guy. Love his skull shape ahead of his blade. Very consistent pattern in those and then somes in that regard. Good color shape or good color pattern in this guy as well. Very square, very comfortable coming and going. Again, I think the target weight and target end point of this one is that December to early January timeframe. Here we have lot number 5, 13-6, and then some kingpin. Very nice chromed up belted gilt right here. It's very much like her littermate brothers. Those and then somes have a lot of squareness and chest width coming directly out of you. You're going to get one of those instant pins right away when you see these and then somes coming right at you. And this one here, a little more feminine or muscle pattern, maybe compared to her littermate brothers. The way she's out of her hip right there, but still handles her hind leg exceptionally well. I think a very functional female that has a very neat pedigree with that tricked out on the top side, back on that Chubbs' littermate, and then bottom side is a kingpin dirty bill. A lot of maternal quality on the bottom side of this one's pedigree. I think you'd left with a very elite female when it's all said and done. Next up is lot number 6, 13-8, and then some kingpin. Very neat belted female right here. Certainly one of the highlights of this litter. Absolutely love this one's look from the side, her natural elevation up front, looseness of spine and looseness of skeleton, just like her mother. Very nice female. And then she packs an extra punch in terms of just power and pure muscle shape up high in the top of her hip and this square going away. I think a very nice female here. If you guys are looking to jackpot one all fall long, roll into an Arizona National or even further next spring, and then left with a really high valuable female from a pedigree standpoint and a show gilt, I think you need to look in here at 13-8. Next up is lot number 7. This is 14-2, crossbred male, and we're going to get into a litter of 14 litter pigs here that are probably some sale highlights. First of all, the bottom side of the pedigree would be Never Before, Wedding Night, Hillbilly Bone, one of the key females that we've been building around for several years that continues to generate really high quality winners. And then on the top side of the pedigree is the Boar Aftermarket. This would have been the tricked out son that we bought a year ago as a baby. Ran him across our herd pretty heavily this summer. And when we're left with pigs that look like this, that are dense, stout, and hairy, we're really excited about the 14 litter. 14-2, I think, is an absolute hammer. This one is so good ahead of his blade. Great look, great color shape and pattern in him, and then just an impeccable hind leg with a really big muscle shape on the top side of his skeleton. This one right here has to be on our short list for a Denver barrow. Really think it fits that show well, fits that evaluator very well. This is 14-2. This is lot number 8, 14-3, crossbred male. The black-headed kind of target-butted one is an absolute zoo animal creature. He is so good ahead of his blade and stout in his jaw with a huge forearm, big chest floor working in him. He's short-backed and very proportional. He has a big pen set to him, but he handles his hind leg in terms of squareness going away very well. And if you like a boxy, round-ribbed, short-bodied, and are willing to take your time, I think 14-3 better be very high on your list. Again, I don't think you need to go fast with him. I do think he fits that into December, January time frame, maybe even longer. But that is a boxy, stout, big-backed one that is short-bodied with big legs. Lot number 9, 14-5, again, aftermarket, back on the Never Before sow. And this chromed up guy has to be one of the favorites in the sale, one that has been a standout since day one. He is so proportional and correct in his build. I love his angles, his flexibility with big feet and toes. This one I think actually has a little bit longer show window than even some of his litter mates, just because of his proportional build and shortness of back and length of rump. And he's one of the more moderate, smaller ones in the litter. Certainly doesn't mean he can't be ready to roll there in December and early January, but he might be able to roll on even further than that. Very high quality barrel here in 14-5. Again, that would be an aftermarket, never before wedding night hillbilly bone, the extended pedigree. Lot number 10, 14-6 crossbred gilt, aftermarket, never before the pedigree. And we're going to get into a set of these 14 litter gilts that have to be on a short list for those of you guys hunting a show gilt / even a replacement female and a foundation type female to build around. The Stash 6 here, she's the stout one. This one is extra dense in her skeleton. You can just see that in her jawline. Big muscle shape, big pin set in her, very stout feet and legs and big square toes, bold and round in her rib cage. This one right here, she's not just some cute little show pig. I think this one is going to be a stout female when it's all said and done. And if you're looking for one to kind of build around and have something to work with in the end that has generating ability, this sow line that you're tying into here, I think can be really, really good. This is 14-6. Next up is lot number 11, 14-7 crossbred gilt, aftermarket, never before wedding night hillbilly bone is the pedigree. A little bit skinnier than a couple of her litter mates, but with an outstanding look ahead of her blade, a little more green and immature in her muscle pattern at this stage. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Here's one that you can certainly feed on, and I think feed pretty consistently all through the growing phase. Absolutely love her color pattern and the way she balances up from the side. Slick looking ahead of our blade, and just another outstanding gilt in this high quality litter. Lot number 12, 14-8, has to be one of the highlights in the litter, and certainly one of the highlights in the entire sale. She's been a neat one from day one. Guys, if you're hunting a really high quality female that is so stout and heavy structured, she's square coming in and going, look in here. Pedigree alone should get you excited with the aftermarket bore on the top side and that never before female following up the bottom. But then if you just look at her phenotypically, this one has a tremendous amount of power, muscle, density, and durability. Don't think she has to go very fast. She could be fed pretty easy and slow the whole way. The show career on this one could be extremely long. You can jackpot her early and I think have one ready in the end still to be a true specimen in breeding piece. Go ahead and look in here on 14-8. Lot number 13, 14-9. Start to sound like a broken record here with these 14s, but man, when you can stamp a color pattern of a belted female that looks like this from the side, that is very square and proportional and heavy structured, you're going to have pigs that can find instant pins right away in any show that you go to, and 14-9 is no exception. Just a very high quality female that's very proportional from the side. I'm not sure which one's going to be the best one in the end out of all this 14 litter. Your guess is as good as mine, but I do know that 14-9 has the potential to be big time in the end with that type of look. Lot number 14 is 14-10. And this splashed up gilt probably has been one of my favorites on the sow since the day she was born. And sometimes that's the curse of death when you start picking out favorites on the sow, but she hasn't disappointed. She has continued to do exactly what I thought she would. You have to just be very appreciative of one with this much feature and skull and forearm shape with big feet and toes, and then to be that proportional and well balanced from the side. Here's another one that I think needs to be on everyone's short list if you're really looking for a high quality female that you can show early and often, and then a pedigree on the bottom side that is very, very proven around Flatland show pigs. This is 14-10. Lot 15 is 14-11, and this sporty little rig right here is starting to grow on us every day. She's a little skinnier and greener, maybe than her litter mates earlier on, but as she's coming into her own, this one's skeleton might be as true and correct as any in the entire litter. She's comfortable, she's well built, she's very proportional in her balance and her look from the side. She's as wicked ahead of her blade as anything out here. Certainly you can see the tricked out influence in this little unique gilt right here. And again, show window can be awfully long in these 14 litter gilts, anywhere from jackpot and all fall long to rolling into the winter season. Lot number 16 is 14-12. The black-headed kind of saddleback gilt right here, a little skinnier and greener than her litter mates at this point in time. And again, I don't think there's a problem with that. You just have to know when they're going to be ready. Skeletal build on this one is awfully good. She's great from the side, very proportional and very balanced. Again, it sounds like a broken record, but the 14 litter has been one they've been excited about since they hit the crates. Obviously had a very big litter of them, raised the majority of them, and we're offering up a tremendous opportunity here. If you want to tie into some elite genetics on both top and bottom side, you need to look at these 14 litter gilts. Next up is lot number 17, 15-3 gilt, Downplay, Hero, Visionary. We were very excited to get our hero daughters in production. We used this boar pretty heavily over the last 18 months, and we're really starting to see the rewards relative to these hero daughters. I'm not quite sure how many we have running around the place, but it's more than one or two. And when they build females like this that we're going to offer up in this 15 litter, we're pretty excited about them. Not only that, it goes back to the 27111 Visionary sow on the bottom side, which would be one of those foundation females we bought from Heimer a couple years ago and has built the brand sale. She would have been obviously the mother of the Gross Sparrow in 2020 at San Antonio, and then the mother of Maxed Out, the boar we have at Crossroads. We used Downplay at Canal because he was a full sib, rightfully so. I like those rightfully so pigs when I saw them this last year, and they fed well, and we're really happy we did this. Unfortunately, we didn't get the males across the finish line here to get them to sale day. She only had a couple, and they just didn't make it. And those things happen sometimes. We were disappointed, but there's 5 gilts here that are absolutely outstanding. And maybe one of the neatest things about these rigs is they do not have any tricked out next intention, cruel intentions, and actually not much dirty secret in their pedigree. They're a little bit of an outcross compared to a lot of stuff out there today. And if you guys are hunting a gilt that really has a unique pedigree, a different pedigree, that's tall-shouldered, big-legged, stout in their feature, and a really wicked look from the side, need to look on these 15 litter gilts. Lot number 18, 15-4 gilt. Again, the pedigree would be Downplay, back on a hero, and then the 27111 Visionary sow. I've talked about the one before, unique pedigree, no cruel intentions, next intentions tricked out anywhere in this pedigree, and these things have true bone and true stoutness to them. This one is very, very neat. I've been very excited about this one since day one. Look ahead of our blade, strong shortness of back in this one with a really big pin set and a very stout hind leg. Consistent litter with a lot of quality. If you guys are looking for one that's a little bit different off pedigree from a lot of the popular stuff today, but you still have an elite show female when it's all said and done, and more importantly, some elite genetics on the bottom side, you need to look in here. Lot number 19, 15-5. Again, Downplay, Hero, Visionary is the pedigree. This one's one of the bigger skeleton ones of this elite set of 15s. Her look ahead of her blade is absolutely wild. She looks like a lady, looks like a female. She is going to be a little bit bigger skeleton type of hog, and I don't think that's a bad thing nowadays. I think you better have a little breeding versatility in your herd. They all can't look like a short, boxy, square one all the time. And if you guys are hunting for one to be an elite pedigreed female with an outstanding generating sow line behind them, and then one that has true stoutness of feature, stoutness of jawline, and big legs, this one right here needs to be high on your list. I don't think she's going to be ready early to jackpot. I think this one's that looks better later on in her growth curve. But 15 litter here, 15-5, is very neat. Lot number 20 is 15-6. In pedigree is Downplay, Hero, Visionary. Can't say enough about these hero daughters and what they're doing for us so far. And when they are built like this from the side and the look this one has ahead of her blade, you get really excited about them. Big form, big legs, naturally stout and square toes in this female. Her up-headed look in these downplays is awesome. Love the skull shape in them. And again, a unique pedigree that doesn't have maybe some of the current stuff out there, but a current type show pig relative to look and feature and bone. Very neat female in 15-6. Lot number 21 is 15-7. The Saddleback Gilt is another one of the same mold of her sisters. Skull shape, neck shape, the way it ties into the top of their blade, and the squareness in her toes and the heaviness in her forearm and her structure up front is really second to none. These downplay pigs are going to be a little greener earlier, not as just a little skinnier bellied. They're certainly not going to have as much bloomy muscle shape early as a couple of the others. They probably tie into more of the tricked out line. But when you talk about one that feeds for the long haul, you're left with a really high quality female with an elite pedigree behind him. 15-7 fits right in the mold of her sisters. Another high quality female. Next up is lot number 22. This is 17-1. The pedigree on this guy would be the other one, back on a Goosebumps verbatim Roxy. He does have a retained testicle. I want you guys to see that and notice that in the video. This guy right here, out of the sire, the other one, that would be the Sloan boar that we bought at King's with Winter Livestock that's housed down there at Tanner and Sam's. And he would be litter made to pass the hat, the $140,000 boar at PT. We got happy we got this guy early and got him into production. The other one, pigs, are going to be very, very neat. Big-legged, stout-featured, just like you'd expect from that pedigree and that sow line. From Sloan's. And then the neat part about this one's out of a really neat blue gilt first-time litter, Goosebumps verbatim Roxy. She'd obviously be a full sib in blood to the mom of the San Antonio champion gilt that we had this last year. She'd be out of a clone that we had to verbatim Roxy, that mom there. And belted barrow right here, barrow or retained testicle boar pig right here that starts off out of these 17s. Stout feature, big arm, big skull, greener in his muscle pattern now, and I don't think that's a bad thing. This one needs to just get going, rolling on some protein when you get him home. Proportions are very good, runs uphill, big feet, big legs. Do think this one can fit that December, even early January time frame and be really good. I think down south, maybe in a show in the desert or at that Texas National. Lot number 23, 17-2. Again, the pedigree would read the other one, back on a Goosebumps verbatim Roxy. Again, that tricked out never before son, the other one housed at Winter Livestock that we bought at King's from Sloan, has done a fantastic job in his very first litters here. We love the stoutness, the bone, the forearm shape that they have. They're skinnier and greener at this stage of the game, and that stems a little bit from that Goosebumps verbatim Roxy sow. She was a very heavy structured, very flexible kind of female that really came into her own once she got over 200 pounds. So I see these barrows and the males and gilts out of this litter doing the same thing. So if you're hunting for one that just needs to be ready to roll to a jackpot here in September, that's probably not the case. But if you really want one to feed and roll with and go hard with through the feeding phase, as hard as we go anymore, it's still just going to get better the longer we go. These 17s you need to look in right here. Lot number 24, 17-3. The other one, Goosebumps verbatim Roxy, is the pedigree. The calico male in front of your screen right now, he's the stout one, certainly of these males. He has the extra skull shape, the extra forearm. He's bolder in his body cavity and his chest floor. Really big pin set in this guy. If you like him stout, hairy, boxy with a big back in him, certainly maybe like some judges do. And nowadays, I think you need to look in on 17-3. Don't know exactly, when he's going to be ready, but I do think that mid-January show in the Rocky Mountains might fit this guy pretty well. When you talk about the extra feature and power and spread this one can have in the end. Very, very stout boar pig right here in 17-3. Lot number 25 is 17-4. Again, the pedigree would read the other one, back on a Goosebumps verbatim Roxy. South side of that, obviously, is a full sib in blood to the mother of the San Antonio champion gilt that we had this last year. Just would be out of a clone to verbatim Roxy. And then the tricked out son on the top side there at Winter Livestock we bought from Sloan, and we've been really happy with his baby so far. This guy right here, I think, is pretty unique. Not only because of his color pattern, he does have one blue spot right above his eye you probably have to take care of. This guy right here, I'm not sure where he can classify, how he can classify. His ear set is a little bit leveler there. I'm not saying they can't come down, not saying they can't stay up relative to where you want to put him. But if you've got a classification show that you want to try to get this guy put into, 17-4, I think, could fit a lot of mold. Regardless of that, relative to color pattern, big legs, hairy, big feet, right proportional build, and a very flexible skeleton. I don't care what color they are. These are the kind that can be successful. Lot number 26 is 17-5. The traditional blue barrel here out of the 17 litter is one that has been very high on our list from day one. Not much messed up in this guy, and that's not a bad thing anymore. I think as we learn to how to evaluate these pigs and we study them at the show anymore, man, there's a lot of wild pieces that can come with the pedigrees that we have out there today, and it's no exception here with this barrel. However, big forearm shape, huge stout skull in him. He's right in his proportions, right in his build. He has a very flexible hind leg in him. I do think the way this one's sized, I think he probably feeds better for maybe that late December, early January time frame than maybe holding a long time. But because he's not just a cute little boxy one, but this one is a good built hog. Toes are square, stoutness and skull is right, and a big pin set and a very good hind leg. Really like a lot of things about 17-5. Lot number 27 is 17-6, and I'm going to just call it right out of the gate there, guys. If you look at his top line there, there's a little bit of wrinkle in his skin. He was one of those that was born with a bubble on his back, and as that dissipated, the skin kind of wrinkled up right there. I don't want to hide anything from our customers as they look at this boar pig right here. But if you look past that, and I think as that one matures and gets older, that fills in, and it's not nearly an issue there just in terms of his skin texture. But belted right, he's as big a forearmed, stout of skull, biggest hind leg and toes is spread as anything in the entire offering. He is way wicked looking ahead of his blade. Length of hip is extremely good as he handles himself here. He's a little skinnier bodied at this point in time. That's okay. This one is very, very high on my list. If we could replicate this kind time in and time out, I know we can win shows. I know we could be successful. This one looks the part. I will say he's got that little bit of wrinkle right in his top line there because of that bubble that he was born with. You get past that as this one matures, guys, I think you're left with one that can be pretty spectacular. Lot number 28 is 17-7. This blue-eyed gilt right here reminds me of her mom so much, it's scary. Big skull, big feature, huge forearm and toe set coming right out of the gate at you. Length of body's right, comfortable in her hind skeleton, the way she handles herself around the ring. And you talk about a pedigree of the tricked out never before boar pig on the top side in the other one. And then going back to the verbatim Roxy line, if obviously we've had a tremendous amount of success with those type of females. Big tail root, big skull, nostril, nose pad in these pigs right here. If you're looking for a blue-eyed female that can be certainly a unique breeding piece to build some things around and still have a very nice show gilt when it's all said and done, you need to look in here on 17-7. Lot number 28 is 17-8. Again, pedigree would read the other one, Goosebumps verbatim Roxy. A little bit different mold than the sister we just talked about. This one's a little neater ahead of her blade. Up-headed look, skull shape is right. She's skinnier in her muscle pattern and shape right now. That's okay. One that maybe not just perfectly ready right away. She's going to have plenty to her when it's all said and done, though. That verbatim Roxy line generated a lot of muscle. Same with the Goosebumps mother on the top side there. She's going to have plenty of power. And I think of one that could be a little bit bigger in her kind when it's all said and done. Not going to be a cute, short little boxy one early, but certainly a big gilt that's colored right, color pattern is right. Love these traditional belted females, and this one's no exception. Lot number 30 is 17-9. The more traditional blue gilt right here, again, reminds me of her blue mother very, very much in terms of her skull shape, head carriage, the stoutness of this one's forearm, and her toe spread coming at you. She's bold in the center part of her body cavity, but has a long hip and a very square hind leg. Again, pedigree reads the other one, which would be the tricked out, never before son from Sloan that's at Winter Livestock, back on the Goosebumps verbatim Roxy line that has treated us extremely well. Again, light blue division of gilts that you can run this one at, maybe all fall and winter long, wherever you want to end up with this one. You're left with an extremely durable and dense female in the end that has a tremendous amount of power and generating ability. Lot 31 is 18-1. This would be an aftermarket Cricket's Kingpin. The Kingpin grandmother would be the moms of the 13 litter in this particular sale. And then obviously we use crickets back on her, left with a very, very good blue gilt in her very first litter here that is very stout, heavy constructed, and very, very hairy. On top of that, we used aftermarket right back on her, and we're left with a very sellable and high quality set of very current show pigs. This calico guy, if you don't mind them this colored, that one has as much skull, forearm shape, shortness of back, and moderation as any. Looks like he could feed for an extremely long time. He's square coming and going. Big back, big pin set with a lot of muscle and a lot of skull, kind of a freak show, and one that I think could be pretty popular with a certain type of judge. Lot number 32, 18-3 gilt. Here's another calico female that we call her kind of Halloween around here. This one is very short backed. She's scary in terms of her length of body, but still long in her hip and big, big legs with big feet. And this one has plenty to her. If you're looking for one that you can just roll really slow and always be ready to look right in a show in terms of just extra stoutness and feature, moderation, or proportions, this square little meat wagon, I think, is going to be awfully high on your list. Not to say that she's for everyone, not to say that, there's not things you can change about her, but if you're looking for one that has the extras of skull, bone, form, stoutness, and squareness, 18-3 is here for you. Lot number 33, 18-4. Another one in the kind of the mold that we just talked about, her sister. This one's probably even more moderate. She's so big in her form and her front ankle. She has that true density of bone that goes all the way to the ground and in their toes, which I think a lot of people are looking for nowadays, and you have to have if you're going to be a lead in the very end. Shortness of back is just tremendous, very proportional from the side. If you want one that's going to be able to jackpot early and often and be a very neat running rig that you could go slow with and show for a long time, 18-4 is here for you. Very, very neat pig. Lot 34, 18-6 would be the gilt on the screen. A little bit different than the couple Littermate gilts we've already talked about here, but this aftermarket gilt back on the Cricket's daughter has the right type of skull shape. Her squareness and her chest floor coming directly at you is wide and true. She's square all the way to the ground and has the same type of feature relative to her litter mates. A little bit bigger kind of skeleton, and that's I think a good thing relative to some of these pigs, but her length of back and proportions from the side are good. Very neat female right here with a very interesting pedigree relative to that tricked out Crickets line that she has going on. Lot number 35 is 18-7, and this gilt right here gets me pretty excited. Right type of look up front, great color pattern in her, has the stoutness of arm and feature and bone coming directly at you, just like her littermate sisters. Maybe a little bit bigger, skinnier package right now, a little skinnier in her overall muscle pattern. But if you judge what mom looks like and the amount of stoutness and feature that she has and boldness, you're not going to have to wait long to see this one really blow up and bloom. Very correct, comfortable gilt with a very neat pattern from the side. I love a lot of things about 18-7. Lot 36 is 18-8, and personally, this has been my favorite gilt relative to this litter and one of the favorites in the sale from an early age. I understand that one's color pattern with 4 white feet maybe isn't for everyone, but that one's skull shape, bone, feature, boldness to the center part of her body cage, and in that proportional package, being short backed, long hipped, and square coming in and going is very tough to put together. I don't care what her color pattern says to you. If you don't like that kind, that's all that we're going to have some different opinions because that one's kind is right. That one's as square and correct as you can make one with as much extra feature that you'd ever want in a female. I think she can generate and take you to the next level. Very neat, interesting female right here in 18-8. Certainly on one of my short list. Lot number 37 is 19-1. Downplay, Ocho, Gary Webb. And we're going to get into a set of 19s here, guys, that are a little bit different in their mold, and you can see that in the downplays here. If you're wanting them short and boxy and really round and wound up at an early age, this is certainly not the litter for you. But if you're looking to take one that's a little greener and a little skinnier relative to their muscle pattern and certainly lateness of maturity, then you need to look at these 19s. Big arms, big legs, big feet. They're going to have a tremendous amount of back shape when it's all said and done. And you have to trust me on this. Relative to Kyle Knauf's breeding and relative to that downplay boar, they're going to have muscle. They're just not going to be as boxy and bloomy early on, especially with this pedigree. Going back to Ocho, which would be the provoked 225-6 verbatim Roxy boar that we owned with Heimer several years ago. First litter female here did a very nice job of having a very sellable and feedable set of pigs. Lot 38 is 19-2, traditional blue barrow right here. Again, same type of mold as maybe his litter mates, bigger in his kind, but look ahead of his blade. His boldness and stoutness in his forearm shape and down around his front ankles and feet looks like a downplay in that regard. This guy is so well built from the side, runs uphill. He has his flag tail there really gives him a good look from the side, and that one has a big hind leg working it in. Again, as I talked about in this litter of 19s, not going to have that early blooming muscle shape. It's going to come later relative to that pedigree. But that one is going to be big backed with a really neat look, and one that I think could be fed for that late December time frame and work extremely well. Lot number 39 is 19-6, and this traditional blue gilt right here, if you're hunting for one that has a little bit different pedigree than some of the current stuff out here that's a bigger in her kind, this blue-eyed gilt looks like a lady, looks like the type of female that's going to generate. Downplay is the sire on the top side. That's the Knauf boar that's a full sib, rightfully so. So again, a very lined up pedigree from Knauf, and then the bottom side is Ocho, which would be back on the Gary Webb sow, which actually goes back to some of the original Swanson stuff with a lot of Heimer influence in there. Very neat gilt right here, tall-shouldered, good-looking, level design, comfortable feet and legs. Again, this one's not going to be just jackpot ready early on in terms of extra pop and bloom, but this one has the ability to be an exceptionally good female with really good running gear. I love 19-6's upside. Lot 40, 19-7, again, the pedigree would read Downplay, Ocho, Gary Webb, and a lot like her sisters here, this one's greener and skinnier bellied at this point of the game, but you could tell from the side the extra length and extension ahead of her blade with a big stout forearm and big square toes in her. She's square going away, one that is not messed up. She's not that tight wound little boxy look right now. If you're looking for a terminal type gilt, this is probably not her. If you're looking for one that can be a maternal type female that generates to the next level when you can use her back across a lot of the popular pedigrees that are out there today, this traditional blue gilt I think should be on your short list. Very neat, well-balanced female here with a unique pedigree. Next up is lot number 41, 19-8. Here's the belted, chromed up version of those other litter mates we've been talking about. Downplay, Ocho, back on the Gary Webb sow. Again, same story as her litter mates, a little greener and skinnier in her muscle pattern, not as just full and fleshy as a couple others today. So if you're looking for one that you can jackpot maybe next week, probably not in this same mold. But you can tell from the side, this one truly is elevated in her shoulder. She runs uphill. She is tight in her throat, but stout in her jawline. I think something that is very, very popular today and has to be talked about in the show ring. And then you talk about one that has big, big legs and a stout hind leg that's going to just get better with time. Here is 19-8. Lot 42 is 19-9, and again, she's the skinniest probably gilt we're going to have in the offering today. Same mold as her sisters, though. Look up front, elevation, levelness of lines, cranked high in her tail set. That one is going to continue to just get stouter and bigger legged the older she gets. That's the type of pedigree that you're going to bring to the table with this downplay female, but a very nice color pattern in this one with a really neat look. If you're looking for a green skinny one that's probably going to be under the money, this one right here should be one that you need to look at. Lot 43 is 20-1. Pedigree reads, and then some, gangster, dirty deal. To start off with, the grandmother of this litter would be the Dirty Deal sow that we bought from Heimer a couple years ago and has built the brand sale, would be the $46,000 high seller out of that sale, and one that we really tried to start retaining daughters out of immediately. She came bred to Gangster, and I think we have 4 of those in production. This one in particular, this is her first litter, and we just absolutely love what she did here relative to the and then some pigs. Tall shouldered, wild look ahead of our blade with a really big pin set and a square hind leg going away. Looks like a show pig from the side with still plenty of green look and feedable upside in this one. Really like this barrow. I think if you're hunting one again that can run anytime in this winter show season, you need to look in here at 20-1. Lot 44 is 20-2. This chromed up gilt right here with the pedigree reading and then some Gangster Dirty Deal is very, very neat. You talk about one that is so bold coming directly at you, that comes directly from that and then some line. She's really short backed and strong and big and bold in her back shape. Huge pin set in her and very square going away. The bottom side of the pedigree with Gangster on the Dirty Deal sow should really excite you. I will tell you right now, this Dirty Deal sow, we are building around for the future. We have multiple daughters in production right now. You're going to see some of those litters highlighted throughout the summer. This particular Gangster female, this is her first litter, and by all accords, she's going to stick around for quite a while when she stamps them out like this. Absolutely stout, three-dimensional female right here in 20-2. Lot 45, 20-5. Again, pedigree wood reading, and then some Gangster Dirty Deal. A little bit greener than her littermate sister we just talked about, but that look from the side with her skull shape, her way it ties into the top side of her blade, and the amount of spread and muscle she has up high with a big pin set, you're going to get noticed right away. On top of that, I think her feet and legs run the right direction. She's square going away. That's something we really try to emphasize in our herd, and I think you can see that by all the pigs that we offer in this particular litter. Hunting for a gilt that I think can be fed for a long time, have a long show window, and then if you talk about tying back into some elite genetics on the bottom side, going back to that Dirty Deal sow, you're going to be very, very happy when it's all said and done. Lot 46 is 20-6. Again, very neat belted gilt right here, kind of white underlined there. And then some Gangster Dirty Deal. Same mold as her litter mates that you've seen before. Wild look ahead of our blade, very square feet and legs and toes working in that one. Neat color pattern with a big pin set, very well balanced and proportional. Shouldn't surprise you going back to those Gangster Dirty Deal daughters that we have in production now. They're going to be stamped very, very consistently. And again, an elite, high quality pedigree on the bottom side and a very, very neat boar to match them up with. Lot 47 is 21-1. Pedigree reads, the other one, Hero Visionary. And I'm going to be honest with you here. Mom struggled in the crate, and we actually lost her. We had to graft these babies onto another sow, so they probably didn't get the fairest start in the world, and it probably shows relative to just how green they are relative to today. However, if you can look past that and you say, all right, I need one that's going to grow and continue to get better with age and stage of their growth period, these 21s that you need to look at here. Think a traditional belted barrow right here that is tall shouldered. He's square coming at you. He has all the right parts and pieces to be extremely good. Mom was visually as impressive of any Hero Visionary daughter out of the litter that we kept there as any. And then with the tricked out on the top side, you're going to get a really neat show pig right here. Little greener one, skinnier, might be under the radar, but the right color pattern and the right feed job, you get this one home and get him going. I think he's going to surprise you, and you'll feel pretty good about yourself when you're all said and done. Lot 48 is 21-2. Again, the pedigree would read on this black-headed boar pig. The other one, which is the tricked out son there at Winter Livestock, that came from Sloan, back on a Hero Visionary. Again, as I mentioned with his littermate brother, didn't get the best start in life, had to graft those babies onto another sow, a little bit greener. But if you can study this guy just coming at you right out of the gate, head shape, blade shape, squareness in his chest floor from his knee to the ground and his front toes. That one has instant pin credibility all over him. And then you look on top of that, that one has a big stout hind leg working in him, really neat color pattern and shortness of back working in this guy. I understand he's greener in his muscle shape right now. Don't think that's a bad thing because you just need to get the feed bucket to this one, get him away from his contemporaries, and give him a little time. But the 21 litter has the elite type of pedigree to feed extremely well. Lot 49 is 21-3. The calico litter mate of this 21 litter that we're going to offer up, again, same mold as his brothers, little greener in his muscle pattern at this stage. But if you study skull shape, bone, foot size, squareness coming in, going, this one has the feedable upside that looks like to have a tremendous amount of potential. Pedigree alone should excite you. The other one, which is the tricked out never before son from Sloan that's at Winter Livestock that we bought at King's with him. On the bottom side, Hero Visionary is impressionable of hero visionary daughters we had, of any of the new gilts that we farrowed out. Unfortunately, we lost her in the crate, kind of a freak accident deal. But the three males that we're left with right here look the part, and they have a lot of tremendous feedable upside.